From the left to the right, that's like people can only
Yeah,
dream of having this improvement.
it's it's quite big. It's quite a big improvement.
So,
Um,
mhm.
to me, I mean, this is only a year ago. A year and a bit ago, my hair was about that bad. So
Oh,
it's
so all
kind of,
this was made in a year.
yeah, this,
K dog on your ex K.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to this. I guess we can start by introduce yourself, use any name you want.
yeah, I just used my Discord. I'm Bishi. Hi, interview about, I guess, HRT and its effects on hair, right?
I guess the first question would be, when did you first notice your hair loss?
I noticed my hair loss at 18, 7, no, actually 16, maybe 15, 16. That was the earliest point I like got a huge shed. And I didn't, but obviously back then you don't think it's hair loss. You think, oh, I'm just stressed. I'm just this. I'm just that. Yeah, that was when I first noticed it.
Okay. Can you share your initial feelings when you first noticed?
Um, I was stressed, but I generally just pushed it down again, like just denying it and pretending it wasn't what it was. So it kind of mitigated the stress a lot. But when
Mhm.
I reached about 23, 24, and a lot of damage had been done, I kind of just transitioned into accepting it until I realized how much Finasteride could do.
What Norwood
It's,
were you when you, I guess you can say, when you first noticed that
uh,
you had hair loss? Or Norwood did you get to, rather, when you decided to start finasteride?
you saw the pictures. I would say like 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Norwood 3.
around about that. Like the temples, I'd say about, it's all relative to your hairline, right? So
Yeah.
I'd say about 2, maybe 3, 2.5.
Were you more so diffuse, or was it just like some sort of a basic pattern where it was
It was a
just the
blend.
hairline recession? Oh, it was a blend. Okay.
Yeah, it was a blend. I was diffuse thinning and I did recess to about a Norwood 2.5. That's what I'd say. Yeah.
Do you have any?
I mean,
Sorry, continue.
I have the pictures if you wanted to like get a refresh or something.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think when you posted it in my server, it was quite a while ago.
It's a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll scroll back. In the meantime, while you're getting the pictures, do you have any like other family members that experienced hair loss?
My brother's experiencing it right now, and he watched my hair go from the left to the right, and
Oh, wow.
his hair is doing the opposite. His
Okay.
hair is very thin. He got a transplant actually. And
Oh, really?
yeah,
Is he on
really
treatment
good
like
results.
finasteride or anything
Yeah,
else? Or?
he was on finasteride and he got really good results. It brought his crown back, it brought everything back, but then he was convinced that it was his diet that was like helping his hair. So he stopped the medication and his hair
Oh,
was
man.
really shit again. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
just,
you see that a lot on some forums, some coping forums where people are like, well, it could be just stress. So it's like,
yeah.
okay,
It's maybe it's my iron deficiencies. Maybe it's this.
get some biotin,
Yeah.
like capsules or whatever. Like people in first world countries are deficient in biotin. Maybe some people, maybe,
Yeah, maybe. Like
but like,
it's very good coping mechanism. If you're getting bad hair loss, just say what it is. It's male pattern baldness. It's like sounds drag up picture.
I just don't understand why people just can't seem to accept that. Like, I have friends who, like, when I first saw them when I started university, they were at like a Norwood 2. And then as the years went on and when we graduated, I'm just like, dude, like, I've been telling you about finasteride. You're sitting here saying, well, I'm just stressed out. And now you're even more stressed because, like, it's pretty much gone. But yeah, like definitely it's good to get on treatment as early as you can. So
Yeah.
so I'm assuming he dropped finasteride.
He dropped finasteride. He's back on dutasteride now though, but the damage is like kind of done. I don't know if he'll get that back.
Oh, so between the hair transplant that he got and when he dropped finasteride, what was like the duration between those two dates or relative time period?
About 7 months, so 8 months. So he was on for 8 months and then he dropped it.
Oh man, I just don't understand how you can spend all that money for a hair transplant and just
exactly.
it's like,
He,
oh man,
just-
getting a car without car insurance, at least here in the
Yeah.
United States, is kind of
he said to me, yeah, I'll just get another transplant. I'll just get another transplant. What? You're just going to get another transplant? You're just going to get surgery again?
How many grafts did he get in his hair transplant?
He never told me, but his hair was very receded when I last saw it. He must have gotten around 3,500, like that. Maybe
Oh, wow.
3,000. It could be less, to be fair, but he did get like a whole big chunk of hairline put in, so.
Yeah, that must have been a lot. Where did he travel to Turkey or?
No. No, he stayed in the UK, went to London. And
Oh, that's relatively expensive then.
yeah, he spent a lot of money and kind of rinsed his savings. Ellis sends people up the wall. Like, he really financially damaged himself by doing what he did. And yeah, he's kind of like got no savings now because of, like, it's amazing what the insecurity of balding can do. Like,
Oh, definitely. Do you know the relative amount he paid for his hair transplant?
I don't know. My guess is consider it's in the UK and London. I'd say around 8 to 10,000, maybe more.
Damn. I mean, that's still a hefty amount.
That's
Yeah, a lot of money.
Oh yeah, I posted the pictures in the chat.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it. Yeah, that's a night and day difference. So congratulations to you. That's a like.
I have another
So
picture.
okay, cool. What Norwood would you say you are now? Like, because you said you were. Yeah, it looks like you were diffuse Norwood 3 about
Yeah,
like,
it was really fast.
and then like this is like dense. Everything's thicken up. This is like pretty insane. Okay, yeah, that's a lot of hair.
Yeah, it's so weirdly enough, even with this treatment, I didn't actually see real results, like actual substantial thickening, until month 6, 7.
Okay.
Like, it wasn't just a big boom, it all came back. And even at month 6 to 7, it was still thin. It was still really new hair. And I'd say only until about month 12, 13 is where I saw, oh shit, okay, it's actually real hair now. It's really thick.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a significant improvement. Let's see. Give me one second. Yeah. Norwood what?
Picture. I have one picture of my hairline. Yeah. Like it's the right temple, the left temple. You can This is all just stuff I've posted in Trustless, so it's not new. And yeah.
Wow, you can really see like
that's like
I guess those were like baby hairs that were just like coming back from the dead. Yeah, they look like they are about to thicken up, so you're saying it's thicker now. It's no surprise. Yeah. That really went terminal.
Yeah, the stuff on the temples though, I don't think will ever come back. Because temple hair generally, all the before and afters I've experienced, only people with really recent loss get their temple hairs back.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I think for me, my temple hairs vanished or started to disappear when I was 16. So I'm 23 right now. So I was like, yeah. As soon as you start treatment, it's it's screwed. You can't really do much to get it back, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's like Norwood. I'm not sure what Norwood that is. I'd say Norwood 1.5.
Yeah, you look right around Norwood 1. So yeah, that's a significant improvement. So what's your full like stack for addressing hair loss?
I did drop something recently. So originally it was HRT injections, oral minoxidil 2.5 milligrams every day, dutasteride 0.5 every day, and cyproterone acetate 25 milligrams. No.
Okay.
Yeah, 12 milligrams, sorry, 12.5. And yeah, I dropped the cyproterone because, well, it's just bad. It's a really terrible drug. It's liver toxic. It's really messes with your mental. It's not good, but it is androgen blocker, so it will bring you your hair back.
So you mentioned something about HRT. Could you go deep into that? Like, what do you? Okay.
That's estradiol cypionate injections. Do that once every 10 days. I would give a caveat to this. If you're putting this in, like, I don't know what you're using this for, like a video.
Yeah.
You should really like downplay this, I would say. I did this, and if I could go back in time, I wouldn't do it.
Hey guys, I'm actually testing an AI voice here right now because I really don't feel like recording at the moment. Anyway, before we continue this interview, please pay attention to a crucial health advisory. I would like to strongly discourage the use of estradiol cypionate. For males considering estradiol cypionate as a treatment for hair loss, it's vital to understand the significant risks and side effects associated with this hormone, including the potential for permanent harm to male fertility. Estradiol cypionate can significantly reduce sperm production and may lead to irreversible changes in fertility. Additionally, it can cause unintended feminization of the body, including breast development, redistribution of body fat, and emotional changes. These physical alterations can be deeply distressing, particularly for individuals who do not wish for a gender transition. It is essential to approach such treatments with extreme caution and under the supervision of a healthcare professional to ensure any treatment aligns with your personal health goals and understanding of your gender identity. Please note, this message and the entire content of this video do not serve as medical advice. It is crucial to consult with a healthcare provider to discuss the risks, benefits, and suitability of estradiol cypionate or any treatment for your specific situation. Prioritize your health and well-being by making informed decisions and seeking comprehensive medical guidance. Your informed understanding and care for your health are of the utmost importance.
The estrogen?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because seeing that discussion in my server, what was your like rationale for jumping on or using, I guess, estrogens to combat your hair loss?
Because I thought you could just get away with just getting your hair back. And in my head, I thought, oh, I can just do this, get my hair back, and then maybe jump on a different stack. But then you realize when you bring your hair back from the dead, it's going to be really sensitive to androgens when you get off estrogen. So you kind of can't. And not only that, it messes with your mental, like your mental like frame of mind. You will change a lot in your outlooks and how you feel about things and your general goals in life.
I see. Yeah, that's really interesting. The dynamics between, I guess, hormones, different hormones, and how it, influences us and the decisions we make.
Like the biggest, that is what I'd say. If you were going to tell anyone anything about this, in anything, just give a big caveat saying this is not a good idea. It's just an example of what can happen if you do this. And even on this stack, I got quite lucky, because my hair loss got bad at about 19 and I left it for another 5 years. So there's no guarantee this even works.
Oh, true, yeah. But I mean, looking at your results, it really did seem to work.
Yeah, it did. But that's just RNG and the nature of like
RNG.
Yeah, it's genetic RNG. Like some people, because your hair doesn't necessarily die. It's not like a linear thing between people. So for some people, their follicles may die. For some people, their follicles might not die because their follicles are sensitive enough where they will die in their scalp. Mine weren't.
No, that's definitely true. Like a lot of people, even absent of using like any sort of estrogen or something like that, even people on Finasteride, they get varying results. Some dude can go from a Norwood 4 back to Norwood 2. Some dude will just stay at Norwood 4. It's about it's about if the hair follicles are still active or not.
Yeah, literally. Like regrowth is really temperamental. It doesn't. Yeah, like I would say I might have gotten these kinds of results if I had just stayed on dutasteride and oral minoxidil for a long time.
Okay, but these results kind of like, okay, I see what you're saying. So the stack that you used kind of brought those results sooner, right?
Yeah, I'd say it was overkill more than anything.
Yeah, that is admittedly, that is a pretty nuclear, I guess you can say, approach. Yeah. So I'm curious, do you have plans to continue the estrogen long term, or no? Like, what's your goals now that I'm assuming you're still using it? What's your goals in regards to like estrogen in your stack?
I'm not sure. That's a big conversation about being trans and things like that.
Okay, sorry. So you identify as trans? I just want to.
No. I don't identify as trans. I feel like it's kind of wrong to identify as trans when I just did this for hair.
I see.
Feel like I'm just grifting because I have to, and I don't have gender dysphoria. I don't feel bad about being a guy.
I see.
But it's a very weird position to be in. Not many people are in this position of doing estrogen for hair loss and then having to confront the idea, oh shit, am I transgender? It's kind of a wrong way to go about it. Either way, I wouldn't say, I'm not trans really. But as to whether or not using it, I really don't know. Maybe I'll play around with stopping it for a bit, of like going off. For like periods of time. But I can't say I'll ever stop. Only if my hair was like completely stable on dutasteride and oral minoxidil could I stop. That's the only way.
I think the reality of it too is like this is just me thinking, could you possibly use like a topical anti-androgen if you do hop off estrogen just to address like whatever, I guess, sort of rise in scalp DHT or other scalp androgens that may occur that could affect the hair itself. Because like estrogen and hair follicles, like estrogen stimulates hair follicles a lot to grow in general. Like it changes your hair shaft dynamics. So I guess in that respect, absent of DHT, the literal quality of the hair shafts, how thick they are, they will change to some extent once you hop off of estrogen, at least in my research from what I see.
Yeah, no. Anagen period increases on estrogen. Estrogen has, from the things I've seen, DHT causes a loss of subcutaneous fat as well, which for some people can lead to a downstream of effects a lot on top of DHT sensitivity.
Oh man.
Like because when you lose subcutaneous fat in your scalp, it creates a deoxygenated environment, so estrogen can't synthesize on site, but DHT can. So you just get this runaway effect on top of it. All the other things going on, like scalp calcification, seborrheic dermatitis.
Yeah, seborrheic dermatitis. Yep, very androgen dependent.
Yeah, so estrogen is like a really big regrowth thing. It's why finasteride and dutasteride have the mechanism they do of regrowth, because it increases your estrogen by like a proportionate amount to how much your testosterone increases. So,
now, is that just serum estrogen or?
I mean, serum estrogen would affect, hypothetically, it would affect your scalp a bit, but I'm just saying it's a part of it. Like it's a component of the drug. Like for some people, that might be why they're getting hair loss recovery. For some people, it might not matter.
I mean, I personally, I think it would just be the overall decrease of scalp DHT.
Yeah, like that's the biggest component.
Now there is and I wish there's this one study that I was looking at. I wish they had like a bigger population size, but they were looking at the concentration of 5-alpha reductase enzymes in the scalp as well as I think it was the equivalent that turns testosterone into I think estradiol, I'm not mistaken. Equivalent enzyme. It's not coming to my mind.
Aromatase?
Yeah, I think they abbreviated as AROM or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is also like a factor as well. Like it would have been cool to see if we could somehow increase that in the scalp locally, absent of any sort of systemic effects. I'm not even sure if that's completely possible. But yeah, maybe they've already experimented on that. I probably would have to do some research.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My hair got a bit finer. Back to what you were saying about hair types changing.
Yeah.
My hair got a bit, not thinner. Well, yeah, I guess it did kind of get slightly more thin in the sense of just became a different hair type. And the sides got a bit curlier.
Oh yeah, I can see that in the photo. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Do you have any other older photos before you started this stack of you having long hair?
Yeah, of me? No, not of me, not full frontal, but I do have a bunch from the beginning of the top of my head.
Yeah, if you could share that would be nice. Just to see the comparison. You don't have to share it now. It could be later.
Oh, okay, sure.
But that's significant, because I'm looking at the first photo you sent from the left to the right. That's people can only dream of having this improvement.
It's quite big. It's quite a big improvement to me. I mean, this is only a year and a bit ago. My hair was about that bad. So
all this was made in a year.
Yeah, this is all 13 months, 13, 14 months.
That's a lot.
Yeah, this is some stuff.
You went from Norwood, I guess 3 diffuse to 1 and pretty dense, I would say. This is I don't even know if a hair transplant could do that.
No.
But it goes to show, to your point, the hair follicles are still active, right? At least from how I view it. Especially when it comes to hair transplants, I think you already know that we have hair follicles that produce 1 hair, 2 hair, 2 hairs, 3 hairs, 4 hairs. It could be the case that, all of your hair follicles, or most of them, are active, but they're sort of downregulated in the amount of hairs that they're producing. So it just, again, like you said, with genetics, it varies between people. Could it be no, the reason why you're diffuse is because a lot of your hair follicles are just not active anymore. And someone, they might be diffuse because, most of their hair follicles are active, but they used to produce 3 hairs, but now they produce a single hair. That's
just the
wispy and thin.
Shaft diameters. Yeah, exactly. Shaft diameters can change, things like that. That is, and your maximum growth length reduces as well.
Oh yeah.
That is, you see the left? That is the longest it would get before falling out.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like, I think a lot of people, at least when I look at their content on YouTube and just on Trestless and other forums, it's like, oh, I noticed that I was, going bald in the front because, well, my hair wouldn't get as long as the sides. And it's like, oh, it's probably the shape of your head. No, it's because you're miniaturizing, bro. That's the truth.
Yeah, people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear like that they were going bald. Nobody wants to hear that because it's kind of like accepting there's something inherently wrong with you. Like up until that point, you're probably just a healthy teenager. Maybe you're a bit spotty. Maybe you've got this going on. But balding is like one of the first real signs that like you're kind of like you're kind of mortal. Yeah, you kind of have to confront that. You're starting to fall apart. Like,
no, I would definitely agree. That's true. Like you're confronted with your mortality right there and then.
Yeah.
Or just like in general getting older and
you're aging.
Yeah.
And if you start young, this is gonna be the first thing that appears before anything else, before any wrinkles, lines, sagging, anything.
Yeah.
You're gonna start going bald as a young person.
Now it's definitely like a social death sentence, I guess you can say in some cases, and maybe not overall. I could be exaggerating. I mean, I don't know. These days, I really don't know. But
for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you lose your hair, the treatment you get with hair and without hair is like night and day. Even like having like visible recessions, like, yeah, it's, again, you can see why people want to do whatever they can to save their hair.
Yeah, no, no, it's definitely, it depends what kind of person you are. If you were really married to your hair and you were really like, it was part of your personality, then yeah, you're going to have a really rough time without it because the hair changes the way you look so drastically because your face is designed to have hair. It's designed to have a hairline.
The framing and everything of it.
Yeah, framing of your face. Like you can use hair to like change your face shape, to hide flaws, to do this, to do that. And generally it's just a sign of good health.
Exactly.
To have stable hair. It's the same with your skin. It's the same with your it's the same with a lot of things.
Yeah. So,
I'd say like,
oh, sorry, continue.
No, I was done. No, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going
to. Okay, so like, what were like the reactions and I guess people in your life from seeing you, I guess from that diffuse Norwood 3 state to now like having a full head of hair? Like, what were people's reactions?
My like the people I live around didn't really notice. They only noticed about month 10 where they were like, "Oh, what the fuck? Oh, hold on, what?"
That's a hair system, bro.
Yeah, it's a hair system. People, my extended family, who I don't see often, maybe like once a year, once every 2 years, they were genuinely shocked. Like they were like, they didn't say anything initially, but then they asked all of a sudden, "What did you do? What did you do to your hair? How did you do that?" And I just told them, obviously, dutasteride or minoxidil. I didn't mention the HRT.
Yeah. Okay,
that's in fairness. Dutasteride and minoxidil. If you're going to get these results with HRT, you're probably going to get similar, maybe not as good results with dutasteride or minoxidil.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, can agree with you on that. Like again, it changing the anagen length, at least the HRT, the estrogen, changing the anagen length duration of your hair.
Yeah, that is a big
just certainly just makes it grow longer. And I would say, not as fast, but longer.
Yeah.
And I guess to reach that equivalent length, like the time period it takes for you to notice your hair loss is, at least from my research, is probably the time period or around the same time period it would take for you to recover and go back to a similar sort of like, I guess you can say, pre-androgenetic alopecia baseline, right? Depending on the quality of the hair follicles.
Yeah, maybe actually, that's might be a good point. I think it depends on like the tipping point. So maybe for more like far gone follicles, it will take a longer period of time. Because I know some of the treatments, like some finasteride treatments for some people, it can last up to 2.5, 3 years. It can go on for a really long time for their recovery.
Exactly. That's what both the Italian study, the 10-year study, and the Japanese studies seem to point out. And they mention in the Rossi et al., the Italian study, that the reason why some people make more like gains over time is because, well, one, the hair follicles are still active, and just in the same way it took for them to miniaturize over time is likely the same way it would take for them to, if their hair follicles aren't too far gone, that is, for those hair follicles to essentially come back online. So it takes a similar amount of, I guess, time, so long as the hair follicles are still active, for it to go back to a pre-androgenetic alopecia state.
Yeah, no, it does. Well, it's different in Caucasian people, I guess.
I mean,
It's-
yeah, that's I think that's from the research that I've done, right? It seems that East Asians,
yeah,
their rate of hair loss is significantly like slower. Like it's about a decade, like kind of a decade offset. So
yeah,
they have time, like they have a longer time period to like take treatment. But when you control for things like Norwood's, like Norwood classifications, the responses tend to be the same. But it's just like when you look at Caucasian populations, yeah, they have sooner Norwoods. Like you go through the whole like Norwood 1, Norwood 2, like balding process pretty fast compared to East Asians. So that's why
yeah.
if you take a 20-year-old who has a Norwood, like who might more, there's probably, okay, it's likely that you'll see a Norwood 20-year-old with a Norwood 4 than an East Asian with a Norwood 4, right? So if you take a 20-year-old who's quote unquote balding, right, from both groups, you may like pluck a balding Norwood 2 East Asian who's 20 years old and a balding Norwood 4 Caucasian who's 20 years old. And it's kind of like, is that really a fair comparison? I mean, maybe, yeah. The genetic factor is that East Asian, longer anagen hair growth cycle, but also like, what would also be? The onset of male pattern baldness is like later. So it's kind of like when you compare those factors, like East Asians would definitely have that, I guess you can say, sort of hyper responder effect. But I think people kind of misattribute that hyper responder effect to some sort of like weird interaction between finasteride and their genetics rather than it just being a feature of their hair that they've always had. That's just my view on it.
It's their hair shaft, their hair density is actually low, but their hair shaft thickness is insanely thick.
Oh yeah.
It's why Asian hair can be bleached. It's why they can do so much weird stuff to it, and it's really durable. It won't get frizzy, it won't get damaged.
Exactly, yeah.
Just, demolish it. It's so, yeah, in all the studies I've seen, especially in the younger guys, like 30 to 40, they made some insane recovery in that one study. I think
the
everyone's
Japanese
seen that
study?
Japanese study.
Yeah.
That
Norwood-
study is ridiculous.
Yeah, like I think they use like the BASP classification system, if I'm not mistaken, but it was a severe like balding, and then pretty much over like 5 years, oh shit, he's pretty much back
got
to
all of
normal.
his hair back. Yeah.
10 years,
Hair back.
10 years he may be a bit gray, but like most of the hair is back already.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I don't know. It is wild to me actually seeing it. And to be fair, Asians have this weird thing, but they don't have much. No, that to be fair, I was going to talk about their beard density and how it's quite lacking. They don't have thick beards.
yeah, I mean, I've heard people say it's because of like not having enough androgens or something like that. I don't know if that's
they have
exactly
enough.
true. Yeah, they have
They have
enough.
enough to go bald.
Exactly. That's my point. Like I tell people that like it's not like they don't have enough androgens or something like that. It's about first
they
off
do.
it's the genetic sensitivity in both ends in the beard hair and also the head hair. So the beard hair for some reason it responds well to or at least it's sensitive enough for it to grow hair. Some sort of like maybe some sort of onset or threshold that you have to reach for it to like trigger hair growth. Likewise, for the head hair, in order to cause miniaturization, if you have the genetics for it. And I guess at the end of the day, it's all about your genetic response. Like that's really what it is, your response to those kinds of treatments.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much just all it is. Is whether or not you actually have the likelihood of your hair follicle not completely dying, because it does.
Exactly,
It will
yeah.
completely die. Like if you look at that study, the first one is just ridiculous. He was kind of, mine wasn't even as bad as his, to be honest.
Yeah, I see it. A,
Yeah,
and
to-
then B,
A to G.
I think the crazy part is A to E. Like if you're
Yeah,
looking
A
at
to
A
E.
to E, like wow. Like I can expect A and C, right? But from A to E, that's like that's to me that shows like okay, yeah, that's a significant improvement right there.
Yeah, that's like
But
that is
whether
similar to the result cycle. And
what's his age? Let me see. I guess irrelevant. Like we do know that when it comes to East Asians, like the processes that would occur in other groups when it comes to hair loss, it's literally like offset like by a decade on average for them.
oh yeah,
So I remember you mentioned for the East Asian hair dynamics that you said it was lower density. Like at least for me, when I think about density for hair, it's the dynamics between how many hairs are produced per hair follicle, and also
really?
the diameter of the hair shafts themselves, right? It's like
I
a
think
combination of
about
those two.
density, as far as I've thought about, it, is a follicle per square
hmm
centimeter.
I mean, okay, so yeah, you mean like the literal like
Like like the cluster
the hair
of
count,
follicles.
like the target area hair
Yeah,
count. Yeah.
actual hair count. They have a lower hair count, but they do have like my hair is like quite thin, but it's very dense. So I
hmm
have quite a high hair count.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to like visual density, that's also like the sort of factor as well.
You get people with both, like they have
Oh
really
yeah,
dense hair and they
lucky.
have really thick hair, and it's just okay.
Yeah, those are some pretty lucky populations, I guess you can say. There was this one L'Oreal study where they kind of like looked at different groups and different races, and also like the sort of, I guess you can say, mixed populations. And you just had like people with like pretty much had the best of all three worlds, like curly hair, high coverage, and just a lot of like hair follicles a lot of hair coming out of each hair follicle. That's I think that's pretty interesting when you take into account
That
like
is,
just genetic responses.
oh yeah, that is a good point. I'm technically mixed, so I do get my hair type from different parts of my family. Like,
If you don't mind me asking, what are you mixed with?
I'm mixed with like this. I guess some parts of my hair type come from the African side of my family. I'm not
Really? Wow.
really mixed, like really really mixed, I'd say. But there is stuff in there.
When you say African, do you mean like North African or like Sub-Saharan African?
South Sudan.
Wow.
Well, it's not. It sounds much more impressive than it. My granddad was half, and so
Okay.
my mum was a quarter. I'm 1/8, and it doesn't show. It actually doesn't show at all.
I mean, that's an interesting thing that you bring up because I mean, at least when you look at the United States, you have some populations of people who are just mixed, significantly mixed, but you wouldn't know because of their phenotype. They just either present as white or just black because that's like the two, I guess you can say, predominant ethnic groups you can classify people under. I think when it comes to African Americans, like the average African American has anywhere between, I think, 15% to 25% European DNA, right? But then, like,
Yeah.
you would, like, there are some visual differences, but even like the dark skin ones, right? They could very well be walking around with 25% European DNA. And I think likewise that is true with some like white people as well, or so-called white people as well, because like it's just a roll of the dice, to be honest, when it comes to phenotype expression.
Yeah, literally. When it comes to like how you're gonna look, I look. To be fair, I look nothing like my family at all. I have completely different features. I have like I have a nose bridge, a very like straight nose bridge. They all have like the
Mhm.
curved slope that they got from like the African side.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I look more Italian Mediterranean than I do anything close to them.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, I'd say so at least. Like, I mean, there's a picture of me right here.
I mean, yeah. You said it earlier, RNG, right?
It's just orangey.
It's really, really
say-
interesting.
I'd say now. To be fair, before I looked closer to what they may have been, but now, no, not at all.
I mean, it's definitely interesting. Just absent of hair, just in genetics. Like when I was on uni, yeah, like I would see like someone who's clearly mixed, maybe African ancestry, white ancestry, but then they have like ginger hair, right? Like if you can imagine all the African like sort of features, like sub-Saharan African facial features, and then having like ginger hair, I'm just like, wow, that is pretty interesting. to say the least.
It looks very unique. It looks very different.
Yeah. But then you would see like, at least from what I've seen, like Wasians, or I guess you can say white and Asians, and like Blasians as well. They mostly just look Asian, right? But when you look at their hair,
Yeah.
it's like, again, they're adopting like both sides, and just the thickness of their hair is just like really insane.
Yeah, Blasians are a lot of Blasians I've seen. They sort of present like they sort of end up looking more like they're like the darker, like the I forgot the name is for that region, like the Philippines area.
Filipinos?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of region. Like they just end up looking closer to that, but different.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I have some Blasians that I know, like some friends that I know. They get mistaken for being Filipino quite often, when in reality they're just like part Chinese and part like American black, or like some African country black and Korean or something like that. Yeah, they end up looking like Filipino to some extent.
Obviously not the same. They don't look exactly the same. They're obviously not Filipino. It's just
Yeah.
not to, not to be rude.
Yeah, not this is not some sort of weird race realism podcast. So I guess I should say that. Let me this is just, geeking out about hair, which kind of got derailed a bit because no, it's cool. Like I literally just made like several videos on like different ethnic responses to I guess to hair loss treatment, because again, it's the running meme on like forums. Oh, how did this guy go from a Norwood 6, exaggerating, right? But a Norwood 6 to a Norwood 1. Well, he's East Asian, right?
I have some pictures, I think. So on the hair loss forums that I went to like read about this, about HRT and hair loss, there were some really insane results. I mean, like slick bald to Norwood 2.
Okay, let's see.
Good density.
Whenever you can send it, that would be nice. Oh, you don't have to send it now. I can just splice it into the video later.
Yeah. Here's the thread if you want to look through this like maze. So this is one of the biggest ones, actually. This is Bridgeburn, and he's widely known for his, at least on this forum and parts of Reddit, how much he got back, because he was even more fun.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. The hairline just like full restore.
You can see that he didn't get it all back. There's still thinning on the temples. There's still this, but I mean, my God, you could hide that in a second with just any styling. Even when it's pulled back, it's like, oh, it still looks normal.
I mean, I'm looking at his pullback one between, I think it's the May 2017 and the October 2018 photo. That is like crazy. Like, wow.
Like, it's still got a lot of decent ground gained with actual temple regrowth.
What was his stack, if you remember?
He used gel and oral estrogen pills.
Oh, I see.
He didn't inject.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what he did. He looked like, it's kind of weird what estrogen does to your skin. So you see in the left photo, the lighting's obviously different.
Mm-hmm.
The left photo, he's very... testosterone makes your skin like it gives it color, it gives it like this redness.
Yeah.
And then estrogen makes it very pale.
I see, yeah.
And that's what it did to mine.
I'm imagining the quality of the skin itself changed too, as well.
Oh yeah, it becomes very soft. It becomes like... it becomes soft. That's the main thing. Which is not nice for shaving, to be honest.
I mean, it looks like he still kept his facial hair. That's one thing people don't seem to understand. The facial hair just doesn't disappear. Especially on, like, there are people who are like, if you take dutasteride or finasteride, that's the end of your beard. And then, like, you have pictures where, it's like, no, like, you don't need to worry about that. And also, like, beards are overrated anyway, so I don't know why people
it's very overrated.
Memeing about
it. It depends. If you have, like, a patch online, I guess, I can see why you might want to.
Yeah. Okay, man, this guy had a lot of progress. I'm scrolling to the thread right now.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff. I would say his results were very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see, like, it's not full recovery, and I don't think... The only times I've seen full recovery, actually, is from people who take finasteride and normoxidil. That's the only times I've ever seen full recovery. It's people who get on stuff really quickly. My friend had full recovery, like, Norwood 0, full recovery, back to what he was. He was he was starting to diffuse thin at his hairline, and he did the same thing I did, which was injecting estrogen. And because he started so early, he got everything back and then went off estrogen and just stayed on finasteride.
Oh, is he maintaining?
Yeah, he's maintaining.
Oh, wow.
He's been maintaining for like 2 years and nothing has changed about his hair.
That's actually really cool.
I was impressed. I was very impressed.
Yeah, that's like a lot of people are kind of, I guess for obvious reasons, averse to using estrogen to try to bring back their hair or maintain it.
They should be averse.
Yeah, yeah. But it would be like I've heard of what is that one thing, alfortridile or something like that. To me, it seems kind of like gimmicky. I think it's like some sort of topical estrogen, if I'm not mistaken. People don't get angry at me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But like if we could get the sort of effects from estrogen in the scalp absent in the body, right? That would be, I think that would like help a lot of people. But I'm saying this like they probably haven't already experimented with this shit before. So
maybe. Yeah, some people have talked about doing topical like estrogen gel, just like really low dose to see if it'll help, and it does. I only heard this from More Plates, More Dates. I'm pretty sure he played around with estrogen gel, tried some form of it, and he reportedly said it didn't do much. From what I
see. I mean, yeah, I would wager to think like you probably need some sort of systemic like circulation to have, like actual like good results.
The biggest thing is the anti-androgen effect from estrogen. It's like that is what it's gonna do. That is the biggest point. Like,
yeah,
sure.
I would definitely agree with that. Let's see. What else do we have on the list? So can you share like how you navigated any challenges in your personal relationships when you went to do like all this to treat your hair loss?
I didn't. The people I became friends with were people who were also like trans or otherwise doing what I did. So there was a sense of, sorry, let me clear my throat. Yeah, there was a sense of like, I'm only doing this because I have friends who are also doing this.
I see.
And it was rough because I didn't really fit in with my trans friends because I wasn't trans, and I didn't necessarily in with any normal male friends I had because, again, the changes were setting in. It did start to look different. As much as it won't make you look like a girl, it will make you look strange. Like, at the very least, it will make you look odd. Like,
so I guess you can say androgynous of some.
Androgynous, and that is strange. Like, especially when you have these mixing of features of like male development with like female fat distribution on your face.
Yeah, like feminine undertones. Yeah, I can see what you mean.
These feminine undertones. It can look, for me, it looks weird. For some people, it doesn't look great. It's just, again, it's luck of the draw, and that's why female feminization surgery exists. It's why some people need it.
Yeah.
But as far as that went, I struggled a lot with it, I will admit. Just to like stave people away from doing this. I struggled massively, mentally, with the initial periods of like the first 10 to 11 months. Like, because it's such an odd thing you're doing, and generally people are very defined by their gender more than they think.
Exactly.
Like, their life plan is based around their biological function as a man or a woman.
Yeah, I think that often goes understated in some circles. Or, not to get political, hopefully no one gets angry, but definitely gets understated in some circles. People don't realize like the relation between their own biology, however it may be, and just whatever role they have in society as well. And at least in my opinion, we have to be a bit more, just recognize the genetic variations and like hormonal influences that could make someone, confirm with go with a specific identity that they seem to be comfortable with. I think definitely that's something that people have to recognize as a scientific fact.
Yeah, the biggest thing I'd say is like the social, what would you call it? Like how you will play out in like social circles. Because if you're just a trans girl, you go to a city that's not transphobic, you should be okay. You'll have normal friends. You can have female friends, male friends. They will treat you with a decent amount of respect, and you'll be fine. But if you're in this like fugue state where you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna have a rough time. You need to find people like you, or you're not. Or you need to just present as a male or whatever gender you can. Because as much as it would be nice not to have to care about that, people generally build their foundation of what they think of you and how they'll react to you and how they act around you based on your gender. So if you don't have one set, then it's going to be really confusing for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really.
You're kind of like in between worlds at that point.
Yeah, you kind of are. You're in this gender limbo, and it occurs for a lot of people, and I think it's why people have rough times and have tough times dealing with it, because they don't know how to react to the fact that they're not in one group or another. Like, even as much as trans women some people will say trans women are, in their own group. Functionally, they're not. They're just in a female group. People regard them as, if they're not transphobic, they'll just regard them as female. They'll treat them as female. They're this.
That's, it's, and also I think there's a degree of like how passable people are when they go through these experiences. That is definitely, like it sucks to say, but your perception is, how you're treated many of the times, like absent of anyone's, I guess, sort of bigotry, right? Sometimes if you're perceived some way, unconsciously, like people will treat you, I guess this goes without saying, but they'll treat you in a certain way based on their perceptions and whatever history they have with the thing that you look like, I guess you can say, the archetype of what they have in their mind.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. That's kind of the same thing for, I'd say, people who you could regard as ugly, not to make the comparison, but people who don't pass. So just to back up and just sort of frame it a bit better, because I don't want to be offensive, even though I guess I'm sort of entitled to talk about this more based on what I'm doing. At the same time, I'm not. You should dress for your image, and if your image is not fully feminine yet, and your face does not pass, or this doesn't pass, you shouldn't do what doesn't suit your image, is what I'd say. Like, you don't see, like, I mean, you can dress however you want, fundamentally, you can do whatever you want, but there's going to be clashes, and it's not really about, in my head, it's like the quarrel comes from me with people who maybe don't suit what they're doing, in that it's not a good look, just as a look in general. It's just not a good fit. If you look androgynous, like a certain way, don't dress a way that doesn't suit you.
I think people are kind of uncomfortable with the with the lack of congruency, right? Between how you look and how you present versus what you wear. That all has to be taken into consideration. At least when you're talking to somebody, mind you, who probably hasn't even interacted with someone of these kinds of experiences at all, right? Like, I live on a farm, pretty much. I don't think many people are, I guess you can say, charitable when it comes to meeting people or their identities, right?
I should say, people, the idea and misconception that I'd say people have of trans people is that the ones you see outside who have like a full hair, like face of stubble, like shadow and things like that, and are just wearing like heels and all this like obscene things, to like hyper feminine things like fishnets out in public. I'm just gonna say, those aren't trans people. Those are fetishists. They're just fetishists. Like,
okay, I mean, I'm not gonna take a position on this. I'm just, I'm gonna let you cook on that.
The thing is, there's. So if you have someone who's not putting in the effort and is not deathly afraid of going outside looking the most normally feminine they can, like, so they're not getting their fucking facial hair lasered, they're not putting in the effort, try and transition, then you can't call them trans if they're just walking around in this hyper feminine stuff to get looked at. It's just fetishism that they're doing for attention. And I wouldn't call them transgender if they're out in public doing things like that, because if it's what they want to do and it's what they like doing, go for it. But I'm not going to say that's representative of gender dysphoria and what transgender people are like. Because the ones I've met are very normal. They're very they have jobs, they make good money, they're nice people. So, and what's represented in media, well, maybe not so much now, but generally in the past, like especially when transgender people were a hot topic, that period then, the overly fetishized image of a man, essentially, just of a cross-dresser, calling themselves transgender. That was the big thing. And not to
Yeah, I
get
certainly
political,
remember. Like, I certainly remember that. But sorry, continue.
I didn't have much else to say other than the fact that, yeah, I would take it with a grain of salt. That most trans people, a lot of trans people you meet these days are actually going to be people you don't even notice, because people are starting to take estrogen younger and younger because it's becoming more widely accepted. So the rates at which they pass is becoming higher and higher. So you're not even going to notice you're talking to a trans girl.
I've seen that. I've actually experienced that while I was at university. Like, they told me, like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm trans. I'm like, wow, I would never have known this. I've known you for the past 4 years since I came to uni. I just never knew this. But thank you for sharing this with me.
Yeah, it's becoming more prevalent. It's becoming more like that. It's kind of good, I guess, in a way, because obviously, let's not get into that. Let's not get into the discussion about whether or not they should say they're trans. I
mean, I am a hair loss channel at the end of the day, but this certainly is an interesting topic.
It's a hair loss channel, but it is the trans episode.
I mean, one day it'll be a biohacker type thing, right? Yeah. So who knows? No, continue.
Yeah, that was about all I had to say about that. I didn't want to end it on it. Like, I was sort of going into it. I was saying some other stuff before that sort of made a bad light out of it and sort of framed people in a certain way. But yeah.
Okay, so what's your overall advice, right? Like, someone who's, let's say a year ago, who's similarly at your Norwood stage, and they they want to use Finasteride, they want to use Dutasteride, they want to use oral minoxidil, and they're also looking at, I guess you can say, they're not trans, right? But they really want their hair back, so they're looking at sort of cycling estrogen.
Look, I mean, depends on the type of person they are. Like the average guy, I look androgynous, but I don't look feminine. I'd say it worked out for me. It made me look better in my head, and I like my image more than I did. But that's just how it worked out for me. I mean, you've got to take into account, if you're not transgender, that is, if you're not transgender at all, and you're just taking into account like the effects that come from this, your face is going to start to look different.
Definitely.
As much as some people in some circles will say, oh, it doesn't change you at all. It does. It just may not make you look feminine. It'll make you look androgynous or otherwise odd. And so I would say, if you're just a guy and you're very defined by your masculinity and you think you can get away with doing it and just getting your hair back, you can't. It will give you, 1, bad gyno. 2, will change your mindset, and it will obliterate your sex drive. It may give you ED. It may give you permanent fertility loss. So playing around with it and thinking you can just dip in, dip out is not viable, especially if you're at the stage of loss I was at, which was about in Norwood 3. So it's kind of like a monkey's paw. You may get what you want, but you're going to get a whole host of other downsides to go with it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I guess we can leave it on that note.
Yeah.
So, Bishy, thank you so much for this interview. If you have any other media or clips or pictures, videos, or whatever that you can supplement, thank you for sending this hair loss talk form as well. I'll be splicing that in the interview. But yeah, thank you so much for this interview.
Yeah, sure. It's fine. You're very welcome.
Right. Thanks. Have a nice day. Or night or evening or wherever you are.
I've got evening. Anyway,
yeah. Bye.